nines now. That's 999-9999.
Live from Augusta, you're watching News 12, live at 5.
It's every parent and family member's worst nightmare. After missing for more than a month, Richmond County investigators say the body of Damon Parrish has been found in Aiken County. Aiken County's coroner says that the body was found in a wooded area on Silver Bluff Road near Atomic Road by the property owner. Investigators say he was last seen in Augusta, where he's from, January 8th. Parrish's body will be autopsied in Newberry, South Carolina on Wednesday.
In the meantime, the 31-year-old father, son, friend, and hairstylist is being remembered by everyone whose life he touched. As Hallie Turner found, that was a lot of people. Hallie is live in our newsroom now. And Hallie, you spoke with Damon's family, and they say they've gone from being hopeful to now just wanting answers.
Yeah, Mayor, as you can imagine, his family has so many questions, but even during their confusion, they are choosing to live life like their Poke. That all starts with leaving the tears at the door. His aunts and cousins share that when Damon was around, the room was always full of laughter, dancing, and his famous cooking. If he wasn't cooking, he was right here behind his salon chair, giving the best shampoos and making others feel beautiful. He was their safe space, and now they say that safe space is gone.
I know my boy he's smiling down on us and he's looking after us. But he didn't deserve it. I know nobody don't, but he really did.
Now coming up all new tonight on News 12 at 6 o'clock, Damon's family shares more on the impact he leaves behind right here in the Garden City.
All right, thanks, Hallie. Our thoughts, of course, go out to the family and those who knew him. So many people in Augusta were touched by him.
Absolutely. Thank you, Hallie, for staying on track with this. To weather now as we check in with First Alert meteorologist Emily Acton. Emily.
Well, conditions are looking a lot better this afternoon than what we've seen this weekend. The sun has come out slowly but surely. We'll see little peaks and breaks in those clouds there. 57 the current temperature. Those dew points, though, pretty low out there, and so conditions are very dry for us, and that trend's going to continue for the next couple of days. So just be aware, it is very dry out there. If you have allergies, things like that, definitely going to feel that with these drier conditions. Overnight, cloud cover is going to be completely out of our way, so we can expect to see temperatures drop off into those upper 20s for the overnight lows. So I know we're kind of getting ready into that spring season. Those afternoons have been nice, but just know overnight we will be in those upper 20s. So give yourself a couple extra minutes before you head out to work. Maybe warm up your car a little bit early tomorrow morning, because again, that's what we're seeing. That's well below average what we see this time of year. Normally we're sitting close to that 40-degree mark, but tomorrow will be right around 30 for us. But before we get another look at our forecast, let's take a look at First Alert traffic.
And now, First Alert traffic.
Looking out at I-20 at Grovetown, things are moving pretty nicely. Not seeing any congestion there, but again, the 5 o'clock hour has just passed us, so things are going to pick up slowly but surely for us. And then looking at Riverwatch I-20, things are going smoothly there. Not seeing any concerns, but stick with us. I'll have another look at your forecast, and I think you're going to like it coming up soon.
All right, thanks, Emily. A new plan making its way through City Council is working to make the world's busiest airport safer. Council member Byron Amos is chair of the Transportation Committee. He voted last week to make changes to the airport's loitering ordinance. Now, the airport is only open from 11 p.m. to 4:30 a.m. to ticketed passengers, personnel, and construction crews. The change would expand those restrictions to 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
As we're looking at things such as the unhoused population, as we're looking at the theft and disappearance of luggage, just ensuring that everyone comes in and out of our airport, which is over 104 million people, I must say that, comes in and know they are safe and they are ready to be served.
The measure is set to be voted on at tonight's City Council meeting.
Advanced voting is underway in the presidential primary. The Georgia presidential primary is March 12th, a week after Super Tuesday. In Georgia, you're allowed to vote in either party for the primary, but you cannot vote more than once. Locally, a special election being held in Grovetown to fill the seat vacated by former council member Deborah Fisher. Across the river, advanced voting continues in South Carolina's Republican presidential primary. Early voting will continue through February 22nd. Polls are open each weekday from 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. You can vote in the state's Republican primary as long as you didn't vote in the state's Democratic primary. The actual primary is coming up February 24th. You can head to our website to find out your polling locations for both states.
Presidential hopeful Nikki Haley is returning to our area this week, just a few days before the Republican primary. This is video of her most recent stop in Bamberg County, where she's from. Haley will be speaking in North Augusta, hitting the state hard as part of her political bus tour. You can catch her at 1 p.m. at the Palmetto Terrace of the North Augusta Municipal Building.
Governor Brian Kemp has appointed a Columbia County judge to the Georgia Court of Appeals. Judge Wade Padgett was named to the Court of Appeals after the removal of Judge Christian Coomer. Padgett's spot will be filled by J. Grady Blanchard. Padgett has served as Superior Court judge in both the Augusta and Columbia judicial circuits. A federal hate crime trial is set to begin tomorrow for a man charged in the 2019 killing of a transgender woman in Allendale County. Wrdw is accused of murdering LaDime Doe, the woman seen there on your screen. Ritter could face a maximum sentence of life in prison if convicted. He also faces an obstruction of justice charge for misleading investigators during the death investigation. News 12 will be bringing you the latest updates from that trial. A transformative technology called quantum computing can solve problems in minutes or days that would take traditional computers years to figure out, if they could do it at all. Now a multi-million-dollar effort has brought this technology to South Carolina. Our State House reporter Mary Green has the details.
$15 million was allocated in the current state budget to bring access to quantum computing here to South Carolina. It's the state's largest investment ever in a tech initiative.
The quantum technology is the technology of the future, and we at South Carolina shouldn't be lagging behind. We can be on the cutting edge of that.
Senator Dick Harpootlian of Richland County was the lead advocate for the legislature to put money toward this effort in the state budget. On Monday, he met with the first team of students at the University of South Carolina to have access to this technology through that $15 million investment. These students just took third place in a quantum hackathon contest at MIT, and the goal is to train more students at USC and other schools in this emerging technology. That boosts their job prospects after graduation, and they could potentially start their own companies in South Carolina, or it encourages more companies to move and grow in the state to tap into that burgeoning network of experts.
What other schools do really well is they have all these resources already there. So students come in and they're developed over the years with the top tier talent and top tier resources in technology. And if we can do that same thing here in this state, I don't know why anyone would want to leave.
A newly formed group called the South Carolina Quantum Association is overseeing this project. Its executive director says through this money, they're able to use a web portal to access quantum computers located around the country, since they don't physically have one here. Reporting from the State House, I'm Mary Green.
Thanks, Mary. A longtime Atlanta police officer is preparing for major surgery after a sudden diagnosis that almost ended his career. The message he has for others coming up next. Emily?
Well, we're seeing below average temperatures for the start of our week, but we'll warm up before the end of our week, and some rain chances coming into play. I'll have a check on your forecast coming up.
Time and temp. WireBaby.com. Click, click.
Well, we've been below average for the start of our week and even in our weekend. Overcast skies, not typical for this time of year, but again, we're normally in those 60s for this part of February, but today saw highs in the upper 50s, and that's going to continue until sunset, and we'll drop off pretty quickly. After that, we can see the 40s right around 7 or 8 p.m., and then we'll drop into the 30s, but that's not the lowest we'll see. To start off our Tuesday, we'll be in the upper 20s for most of us here, so don't get too comfortable with those high temperatures. Just know the mornings are going to be cold, at least for the next couple of days. So give yourself a couple extra minutes tomorrow morning to warm up your car. Dew points are very low right now, so very dry conditions, and that's going to continue again throughout the majority of our work week. So some cooler air and some drier air, but things are going to be warming up. So again, this trend is not going to stick around for too much longer for us. So that's definitely some good news. Not seeing any rain on the radar, not expecting to see any rain on the radar for the next couple of days. Help us drop off into those upper 20s, but we'll see a little bit of cloud cover for Tuesday afternoon. But the start of the day, things are looking great, but once we get to around 2-3 p.m., that's when the cloud cover will come back into play, unfortunately. But temperatures will remain in those lower 60s for the highs, and then clearing out for the overnight hours and into our Wednesday, going to be mostly sunny. So things are definitely looking good for the middle of our week. We can expect to see highs in those middle 60s. So things are looking a little bit more seasonable for our Wednesday, which is some great news there. Now, if you like the warmer weather, just hold on for another week. Once we get into later next week and even 10 days after that, that's when we can see some warmer temperatures for us. So spring is approaching, but we're definitely going to have those spring-like temperatures for the end of February for us. The last week in February will be, again, well above average. Expecting, again, this is day 6 through 10, so several days away, but things are trending warmer for us, but not just yet. Overnight, again, we're going to be in those 20s, so just be aware it's going to be another cold night for us, but warmer air is on the way. Sunny conditions for our Tuesday and Wednesday. A little bit of cloud cover, though, for Thursday. Rain chances come into play late Thursday night into early Friday morning, but should be out of our hair by the time most of us are getting out and about for our Friday. High temperatures will be in those 70s for our Friday afternoon, Saturday, and Sunday. Things are becoming more seasonable, mostly sunny sky conditions with highs in those middle 60s. So things are looking good for our weekend. Next week, that's when the warming trend starts. We'll see highs in the 70s, lower 70s on Monday.
Get out the allergy meds.
I've
I already
done
need
it.
them. I already need them.
Yeah, I'm in trouble. I'm sniffly out here.
Oh, same. Thanks, Emily. An Atlanta police officer now leaning on his community for support as he gets ready for some major surgery.
Officer Brian Reed tells us it all started from a sudden numbness in his hand that turned out to be something he never expected, and something that could have ended his love for law enforcement.
And from that day, it was a wrap for me. I said, yeah, I want to be an Atlanta police officer.
And that's exactly what senior police officer Brian Reed has been for the last 26 years, what Reed calls a front row seat to life, from tragic calls to numerous community events for the children to working details for very important people.
I went to pick Mrs. King up, and I was as nervous as I could be.
A dream since elementary school for the Atlanta native who's worked alongside his two brothers and nephew at the Atlanta Police Department.
I've been over 41 years.
Reed was surrounded by his family on Sunday to share more about a sudden diagnosis that almost ended his decades-long career in law enforcement.
A ton of bricks wouldn't do it justice. It came down like a weight I couldn't imagine to be told that I would no longer be able to be a police officer.
A sudden numbness in his hands turned out to be caused by cervical spinal stenosis and is going to require a major surgery.
I had the opportunity to serve with some of the best men and women that wear the uniform. And to come to a point where that would be essentially taken away from me.
Fortunately, Reed says he will be able to recover and go back to work, but is asking the same community he has served all of these years to lift him in support and take care of your own health.
I don't care who you are. If you are facing any kind of a health challenge and you still have the capacity of mind, you owe it to yourself to do your own research and really do your homework and start looking into the best possible care for you.
And happy to hear that Officer Reed will be able to get back to operating in his passion and serving his community.
And good thing those doctors spotted that diagnosis sooner rather than later. Imagine being a homeowner and having your property appraised for less money than it's worth. Up next, we tell you how the government is working to keep it from happening to you.
First Alert Radar, powered by Jim Hudson Automotive Group.
Let's drive. Baby.com. Click, click.
Some homeowners of color say their properties are being appraised for less money than they're worth. It's an issue called appraisal bias and has sparked the attention of the government, which created a task force to address it. National investigative reporter Carice Jackman looks at cases of alleged housing discrimination and what's being done for those being undervalued.
It's part of the American dream. Purchasing property, creating generational wealth. But building that American dream hasn't been equal for everyone. Terry Horton says he experienced this firsthand in 2022.
I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Part of Horton's American dream as a landlord was to make affordable housing units available for people in his Cincinnati community. It's why he decided to refinance his property in order to finance his dream project. To do that, Horton had to go through an appraisal process, which allows banks to determine the value of a property.
Initially, the lender gave me an estimated value of $500,000.
But when he got his appraisal back, Horton says it was a lot less than what he expected. The value was appraised at $359,000. That $141,000 difference from the initial estimate is what's called an appraisal gap. Appraisal gaps create a few problems: buyers backing out of a home sale, or, as in Horton's case, banks being reluctant to lend more money than an asset is supposedly worth. He also had 2 additional appraisals done on the property. Both of them came back with values higher than $359,000.
Unfortunately, this is a problem that is truly pervasive throughout the nation.
Sharon McGowan, Horton's attorney, helped him file a complaint with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD.
We saw the appraiser ignore sales that had happened on the same block as Mr. Horton's property and go to a blacker part of town to find properties that he was going to treat as sort of the comparables.
The lender never responded to our questions about Horton's appraisal, and the first appraiser defended his calculation, saying in a statement he used papers submitted by Horton and that comparison properties used in the later appraisals weren't equivalent. In the 1930s, a discriminatory practice now known as redlining blocked access to mortgages and other loans to entire communities, primarily those of color. Federal officials created a manual for lenders that graded neighborhoods on the financial risk of a property loan in that area. Grades heavily influenced by the race and ethnicity of those living there. Our national investigative team reviewed federal data on home appraisals from 2013 to 2021. When we looked at historically redlined census tracts, we found that on average, minority-owned properties experience appraisal gaps at a rate higher than those with white owners. Low valuations, often with high financial consequences. For example, when we looked at minority-owned 3-bedroom homes in redline areas, we found when there was an appraisal gap, the difference was often more than $10,000, up to $60,000 in some cases. Zixta Martinez is Deputy Director of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and is on the task force charged with increasing fairness in the lending and valuation process.
We're taking measures and considering options to stamp out appraisal bias.
By the time Horton's lender finally acknowledged one of the other appraisals and offered him a refinance plan, the interest rates had risen and were too high to complete his American dream. Win or lose, Horton says he'll continue pushing for fair and equitable appraisals so other minority homeowners aren't left feeling undervalued. Carice Jackman on your side.
Last month, the Appraisal Standards Board revised its ethics rules to include a section titled Non-Discrimination. Its goal is to clarify that appraisers must have knowledge of and comply with all anti-discrimination laws and regulations that apply to the appraiser. Emily?
Well, overnight tonight, we can expect to see temperatures in the upper 20s, so a very cold start to our Tuesday, but things are warming up. By the end of the week, we'll see the 70s. I'll have a final check on your forecast coming up.
Come on into Davis Appliance and Furniture, where you can find the best deals in town. It's tax time, so when that refund comes in, it's the perfect time to get the furniture you've always wanted. For the brands you trust at the lowest prices, visit us at Davis Appliance and Furniture.
You can't see it on air and online. For more information, visit wrdw.com/advertise.
Come on into Davis Appliance and Furniture, where you can find the best deals in town. It's tax time, so when that refund comes in, it's the perfect time to get the furniture you've always wanted. For the brands you trust at the lowest prices, visit us at Davis Appliance and Furniture.
Yeah, hello. I'm really not sure if this is what you all do, but I really don't have anywhere else to turn.
Hi. I don't even know why I'm calling right now. I'm sorry. My thoughts are going a mile a minute.
My kids are out of state. My buddies from the army are all gone now. I'm really alone.
I left the service last year. My mom just passed away a few months ago. I miss so much time with her. I keep getting calls about the bills, and I'm trying to get a job, but I feel so stuck.
Okay, ma'am. I'm glad you called.
Okay, sir. Let's stay on the line and walk through some things.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Well, we've seen below average temperatures for our Monday. Highs have reached those upper 50s. Not too bad out there, seeing the sun at times, but overall, partly cloudy sky conditions. And we're going to continue to cool off overnight tonight. After the sun sets, we'll dip off into the 40s pretty quickly. And we'll see the 30s and even upper 20s before the start of our Tuesday, the start of our day Tuesday. Again, it's going to be pretty chilly out there, so do not forget your winter coat. But good news is you really won't need it much longer than that, because we'll warm up in the afternoons. We'll see those 60s and mostly sunny sky conditions.
All right, thanks, Emily. Stick around. We have more news, weather, and sports coming up after a short break as News 12 Live at 5 continues.
Introducing the First Alert Radar Network.
With up to 10 times the resolution of other local radars and technology that can pinpoint right down to your street.
First just got faster.
Let's drive!
WireBaby.com. Click, click. Watch WRDW News at 5:30 weekdays for What the Tech. Sponsored by Augusta Preparatory Day School, leading the CSRA in STEM education.
After a serious accident, and Associates today.
Well, one morning, me and my wife were headed to work. A bus came out right in front of us, and then I woke up hours later in the emergency room. I was worried about the health and well-being of my wife. My son contacted Austin Jackson. They took all the pressure off. They said they were handling everything. And when they meant everything, they meant everything. I would recommend Austin Jackson Law Firm because they relieve you from all the pressure. Get Austin Jackson, the Augusta guy.
Trust Chief Meteorologist Riley Hale for your First Alert.
Let's drive, baby!
The First Alert team, the best in Georgia. You're watching News 12 Live at 5. Continues.
The body of a missing pregnant 17-year-old has been found in Barnwell County. Her family telling us police found her in a ditch on Perry Street near a park in that area.
Malaysia Hogg was 9 months pregnant when she was reported missing February 6 at Colony West Apartments. Sydney Hood joining us now in the studio with the latest on this extremely sad case. Sydney.
Officials say Malaysia, who you can see behind me, was set to be induced by doctors on February 13th to give birth to her baby girl. Now her family is grieving the loss of 2 lives. Malaysia's family and friends say her body was found in a ditch behind some balloons and cross they placed for her earlier today. They all said she was looking forward to becoming a mom. She had everything ready, and all she had to do was go in and have the baby. Now, this case is being investigated by the Barnwell Police Department, SLED, and the Barnwell County Coroner's Office. She is scheduled for an autopsy in Newberry on Wednesday afternoon, and we've reached out to SLED for more information.
And Cindy, we know you'll stay on top of that. Thanks for keeping us updated on that case. Convicted former Augusta Commissioner Sammy Sias is getting out of jail earlier than expected. Sias was sentenced 3 years in federal prison for lying to investigators. Now court documents say he's serving 2.5 years and is set to be released in August of next year. Switching gears to weather now as we check in with First Alert meteorologist Emily Acton. And Emily, I think everyone wants to know, when is the pollen going to get really bad? Because right now we're all already suffering, right?
Oh, yeah. It's pretty bad right now. I've already seen like puddles of yellow stuff in my driveway, Emily.
Yeah, definitely sticking to cars and things like that. Unfortunately, I don't think that this is the worst of it yet. I think we still got a couple more weeks to see the pollen, and bad news along with that is we're not really seeing a lot of rainfall to help kind of wash it out. Things are looking dry. Going to continue to stay dry for the majority of our work week. High temperatures this afternoon have reached those upper 50s. Dew points, though, in those low or upper teens for us. So low dew points, and things are feeling very dry out there. And again, that's the same story across all of the CSRA this afternoon, and that trend's going to continue for the rest of our work week. Overnight tonight, we'll slowly but surely cool off as clouds move out of our area. We can expect to see lows in the upper 20s. So it's not spring just yet, but definitely getting close to it for us. But again, overnight, things are going to be temperatures are going to be in those 20s. So things are going to be cold to start off our Tuesday, but we'll warm up nicely for the afternoon for us. We can expect to see highs in those 60s. Plenty of sunshine to go around, but just unfortunately not any rainfall to wash that pollen out. But let's go ahead and take a look at First Alert traffic.
And now, First Alert traffic.
Looking over at I-20 and Riverwatch, you can see the traffic starting to slow down a little bit, especially on Riverwatch down here. For the 5 o'clock hour, this is looking typical for this time of day, but things are looking good on the interstate and all around the CSRA. Haven't had any reports of accidents that are causing any delays, so definitely some good news there. But I'll have another check on your forecast, and I think you're going to like it coming up soon.
All right, thanks for that, Emily. It's an effort to speed up the cleanup process in Bamberg County more than a month after an EF2 tornado ripped through the area. County officials say they're continuing to work with property owners, insurance companies, and the South Carolina Emergency Management Division. They say FEMA and other agencies are focusing on Highway 301, which is Main Street. Several damaged buildings have been declared a danger to the public there. Property owners have been told to take immediate action to clean up their properties.
We're getting a better idea when it comes to the Richmond County School System's future plans for the district. This is a live look at a map that school leaders posted on the school system's website.
It's very colorful, but it also paints a better picture when it comes to a proposed master plan that would upend several current schools, combining, eliminating, and creating new schools all together in the county. The school district wants to hear from you, parents. The first input meeting is coming up March 4th. You can head to our website or our Wrdw app for a list of other dates planned for parents.
Well, it's hard to believe that it's been 1 year since former President Jimmy Carter entered into hospice. Now we're getting a better look into his current health. Madison Foglio spoke with his doctor.
I'm going to ask you right off the bat, how is Jimmy doing?
He's doing fairly well. He continues to have a little bit of decline that is measured.
Since entering hospice care, the former president has been under 24/7 supervision from his caregivers. Dr. Michael Raines and other nurses check in on him once a week. One of the biggest challenges for the former president is losing the love of his life, Rosalind Carter, to dementia.
Well, since she's passed, he has had some decline. He misses her. He sleeps more. He asks where she is at times. Those are probably the biggest things.
The National Institutes of Health report that roughly 90% of patients die within the 6-month time frame after entering hospice care. Dr. Raines notes that predicting a patient's timeline is not that simple.
There are some cases that it's difficult to predict how long they're going to live. With him, when he initially came on, we didn't think that he was going to live 6 months. He's been a fighter.
Although his appearances are limited now, the former president's presence continues to live on and can really be felt just by being here in his hometown of Plains.
Well, we think about him every day. He and Rosalind both, their fingerprints are all over this town.
The impact that the Carters have had has just been tremendous. Changed my whole life, really.
Hard to believe it's already been a year since he entered into hospice. I think one of the favorite things I saw about this reading today was that he decided to stay on the battlefield. I like that little analogy.
Yeah, and it's also important to remember that hospice doesn't necessarily mean the end is imminent. A lot of times that's what we have grown to think, but a lot of times too it's just I'm not going to take any treatment that's going to continue fighting what I have. I'm just going to take treatment to remain comfortable. And some people can, as we've seen, stay in hospice care for a year.
And he's still fighting.
Still fighting. It's hard to believe that today marks 3 months since the passing of First Lady Rosalynn Carter. The Carters' love story lasted 77 years. She died after battling dementia. The last time Jimmy Carter made a public appearance was at Mrs. Carter's funeral.
A local celebration for President's Day. Tours were given at the boyhood home of President Woodrow Wilson. It's one of only 3 presidential sites in the state of Georgia. President Wilson grew up in Augusta from 1858 until 1870, while his father was the pastor of First Presbyterian Church during the Civil War.
Well, it's certainly a gem for the city of Augusta to have a presidential site here. So many people come just to see a president's home that possibly would not even be here in Augusta.
And the experience ended with an afternoon tea and pie with Mrs. Wilson and next-door neighbor, Mrs. Lamar.
Evans Town Center Park will be closed tomorrow for renovations. Columbia County Parks and Rec originally said it would be closed today. It is set to be closed for maintenance from 6 a.m. to noon. All parking lots will be closed as well. The main playground area will also be closed for maintenance all day. It's set to reopen Wednesday.
Well, coming up, details on a Georgia bill that would let retailers know what types of nicotine and vape products they can have in their stores. Emily?
Overnight tonight, conditions will definitely cool off for us. We can expect to see lows in those upper 20s, but we'll have plenty of sunshine for the rest of our week. I'll have a check on your forecast coming up.
Time and
of your largest investment. Call for your on-site evaluation. Ramjack, the foundation repair experts.
A live look at the Thurman Dam, our dam cam, as we send things over to First Alert meteorologist Emily Acton. It has been almost spring-like out there.
Yeah, it definitely has, and once we get into the middle of the week, it's really going to feel like spring today. We've seen temperatures below average, but still pretty nice out there. Seeing the sun at times. Highs have reached those upper 50s for us, and we're still cruising in those upper 50s. We'll slowly but surely, though, start to cool off, especially after sunset. That's when we can see temperatures drop off into those 40s, and then even into the 30s and upper 20s in some spots. So cold start to our Tuesday. Don't get too comfortable with these afternoon highs because, again, we do have some really cold mornings in store for us. Tomorrow, though, definitely being the coldest out there, but some dry air is continuing for our work week, and so very low dew points. That means some very dry, crisp air out there for us. So not expecting any rainfall over the next couple of days, so this trend is expected to continue. Things are dry right now, like I said, and expecting to stay true for the next several days, but things are clearing out overnight. That's going to help us drop off into those upper 20s. So whenever we have those clear skies, not a lot of insulation there, and it's really helping us, again, cool off. So the start to our Tuesday, definitely going to be a lot colder than what this map is showing, but upper 20s for us. Low 30s in some spots, but things are going to be sunny and clear for the start of our Tuesday. Once we get into the afternoon, though, that's when cloud cover is going to come back into play, unfortunately, but temperatures will be pretty average, right around that 60-degree mark, maybe 62 in some spots. By Tuesday, Wednesday, things are looking a lot better in terms of sky conditions. We are going to be sunny all day. We'll warm up into those lower, maybe even middle 60s in some spots, and things are, again, looking really good for our Wednesday. If you like this warmer conditions, stay tuned for next week. This is the trend that we are expected to see. A big warm-up coming our way. Again, this is going to be for next week, so the 6 to 10 days out, not our typical 7-day, but we're trending above average for our counties here in the CSRA, so things are looking a lot warmer. Not before we got to get through tonight, though. So, again, things are going to be on the cooler side, cold side, I would say, overnight tonight. So our Tuesday is looking cold. Wednesday, really not bad at all. And then by Thursday, Friday, we'll be right around that 70-degree mark. Plenty of sunshine for our weekend. for us. And then the start of next week, we'll see highs in those 70s. So again, this warming trend is going to continue, but we'll really start to feel like spring next week. And I'm hoping maybe a chance of rain just to get the pollen out of here. We'll see a small chance of showers Friday morning, but I don't think it's going to be anything super substantial.
We're praying for some of that rain to get the pollen out, but just not on the weekends.
Yeah,
we need
there we
one
go.
sunny weekend. That's all we're asking
Yeah, let's
for.
put in our order for that.
We'll go ahead and do that. Thanks, Emily. Well, lawmakers demanding that something be done to stop it.
Advocasaurus reports on measures under the Gold Dome to monitor and restrict what vape products can be sold in the Peach State.
The Nicotine Vapor Products Directory Act would change the vaping industry here in Georgia. Some say for the better, others say for the worse. The bill would require the state's agriculture commissioner create a list of what products could be sold in Georgia's stores. If a store is caught trying to sell something not on the list, they could be fined.
You want to make sure what you're getting has been tested and approved.
The bill's sponsor, Representative Houston Gaines, says right now there is no regulatory body enforcing what is being sold in Georgia stores. This vape, he says, was purchased in Milton last week. The FDA banned it because the banana blueberry ice flavor is illegally marketing to children.
And you got examples of fentanyl-laced, THC-laced vapes that have killed young people.
The state's Department of Public Health reports 42 cases of vaping-associated illness in Georgia, including 6 deaths. The bill specifies 2 unannounced compliance checks every year. If a store is caught with a product not on the list, they could face fines or have their license suspended. Dylan Gilbert owns 9 vape stores in Columbus and Savannah.
We want common sense regulation, but unfortunately this bill is a death blow to our industry.
The American Vapors Manufacturers Association agrees. They say stores would close and the state should care. They collect $10 million each year from the state's 7-cent tax. More people were signed up to speak, but another committee needed the room. The chairman adjourned and encouraged people on that committee to do some research with the time. In Atlanta, I'm Abby Kasouris.
Well, the next court date for the disqualification hearing of Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis is still up in the air. Last week, both sides made their cases. Attorneys questioned how the district attorney was reimbursing Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade for trips they took while they were working on former President Donald Trump's election interference indictment. Willis says it was always in cash. The judge will set a day for summary arguments, which will likely take place sometime this week.
We all grab our phone to jot down a note, and there are a lot of different ways to do that. But I'm Jamie Tucker. Coming up, I found what may be the best note-taking app. We'll take a look at GoodNotes coming up.
First Alert Radar, powered by Jim Hudson Automotive Group.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, what are you waiting for?
Call George Sink Injury Lawyers at all nines now.
The sooner you call, the sooner they can help.
George Sink Injury Lawyers has the experience to help you get your money fast. If you've been hurt in a car wreck, call all nines.
We're
It's time for Weinberger's famous Made in America sale.
Save up to 50% off on the finest quality American-made brands like Smith Brothers, Stickley, Weinsberg, Yahtzee, and more. Plus, get 20% off Made in America mattresses by Kingsdown.
Customize or choose from in-stock items. Save on bedroom, dining room, sofas, chairs, and home office.
Can you save up to 50% off on all of our American-made collections?
Yes, you can.
We can't handle a bumper car case, but if you've been hurt in a serious accident, George Sink Injury Lawyers is here for you. We're available to take your call, nights, weekends, 24/7.
If you're always looking for new ways to be more productive and more effective, you've probably looked in the app stores for some help.
Yeah, note-taking app can certainly make things better for big projects. Our consumer tech reporter Jamie Tucker thinks he's found the best notes app in the App Store.
What the Tech, sponsored by Augusta Preparatory Day School.
Apple Notes, Google Keep, Evernote, Notion, all great note-taking apps, but this app, GoodNotes 6, does everything those apps do and more.
GoodNotes
GoodNotes is on version 6. It allows you to take notes on a keyboard or a keypad or using your finger or stylus on a tablet or phone. But the extra features are amazing. For example, if taking notes by hand and you make a mistake, there's no need to switch to the eraser. Just scratch it out and it disappears. Drawing shapes, GoodNotes makes circles, triangles, and squares perfect. You can include audio notes, images, scans. So if you're creative, you can make projects and presentations look incredible. A lasso tool allows you to move a section of the note somewhere else, and everything is searchable by keyword, even your handwriting, if it's clear enough. An AI tool helps rework what you've written in a more professional or casual style, even adding elements you didn't think of. Notes are synced across all of your devices, and every note can be saved and exported as a PDF. GoodNotes works on iPhones, iPads, Macs, PCs, and Samsung Galaxy tablets, and a full version is just $10 a year. If you like taking notes on an iPad with an Apple Pencil, GoodNotes is a must-have. I'm Jamie Tucker, and GoodNotes is the app of the day.
GoodNotes is also free for schools. Teachers using the GoodNotes app can project their screen onto the classroom whiteboard just like the good old days.
Tech giant Google confirms it has purchased property in the Low Country. On your screen is a statement from Google officials about its expansion. It reads, quoting here, "We look forward to growing our community here in South Carolina, and we'll share details as this long-term project progresses. The specific area and size of the purchased land, that has not been announced yet."
A few of our local Georgia high school basketball teams are tipping off the state playoffs on their home floors tomorrow.
News 12 Sports Director Dan Booth joins us now to tell us why the Josie girls basketball team has what it takes to make a deep run this year.
The Josie Lady Eagles are no strangers to having success on the basketball court. In fact, this is their 7th season in a row with at least 20 wins in the season, which is incredible. Josie is heading into the first round of the playoffs with a 24-3 record before falling to Butler in the region championship game on Friday. The Lady Eagles were flying high on a 15-game winning streak, setting the stage for what could be another long playoff run this year after getting to the state semis a year ago. 10 of Josie's players from over the past 2 seasons have graduated, but despite all that turnover, they're continuing to set a standard of excellence.
People start to notice, especially when you put good products on the floor, and we have a good group of girls, and the majority of them, you know, when they go out and they step on the court, they leave good impressions. You know, some of them end up worming their way into the community's hearts.
Along with many of our other local Georgia teams, the Josie Lady Eagles will tip off the first round of the playoffs on their home floor against Worth County tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. While the majority of our South Carolina teams will be resuming their playoffs tomorrow, we do have a couple of teams in action tonight. Fox Creek and Strom Thurmond will both be in Columbia for a couple of tough road games in the state Elite Eight. I'll be diving into those two matchups on News 12 at 6 o'clock.
Well, dry conditions will continue for our work week, but we'll also be warming up. We can expect to see highs right around 70 for the end of our week.
And we're a month out from breaking out the green for St. Patrick's Day, why One Georgia City is going extra hard with the planning this year.
Donald Trump did it
today. We are 1 month away from St. Patty's Day, and One Georgia City is prepping for one of the biggest celebrations in the country.
This year will be
Look
the
at that.
200th, the 200th anniversary of the Savannah St. Patrick's Day Parade. With this year's parade falling on a Saturday,
Oh, no.
yeah, organizers say they're expecting it to bring out even more locals and visitors. They say hundreds have already entered to be in the parade, and you can bet it's going to be pretty epic.
That's on my bucket list. I haven't been down there to celebrate.
I haven't either.
But it's maybe the year.
Maybe.
It's maybe it.
It looks so much. Richard Rogers just walked in the studio.
He's shaking his head.
He's been there
Yes,
many times.
I'm going to be like that guy who's painted all green with the mustache. That
Pictures or it didn't happen.
Oh, no.
I've been there for the New York City one. My dad used to go into some of our local schools growing up and teach about Irish history and dances and everything along those lines. So St. Patrick's Day, hits home for me a little bit. But But it really is really cool to see Savannah go all out like this and continue. And who knows, maybe we'll have to head out there this year.
You will.
It looks like a lot of fun.
On a Saturday, we're hoping for some good weather for that too. Emily, make it happen for us.
I was about to say, I cannot give you the forecast for St. Patrick's Day on February 19th. So, anyway.
I don't know.
We're kind of ordering though.
I didn't remember the date. I was like, okay, yeah, I got it right. But yeah, it definitely looks like a lot of fun. If we would have it this weekend, I can tell you that it would be great. Temperatures will be in the 60s and again, sunny sky conditions. So definitely a great weekend in store for us. But we got to get through tonight where we can expect to see lows in the upper 20s. So we'll cool off pretty quickly after sunset. We'll see those 40s and then drop off into those 30s and then upper 20s. But tomorrow, things are looking pretty good. For the start of our day, we can expect sunny sky conditions and then we'll reach right around 60 for the highs in the afternoon. But a little bit of cloud cover will come into play for our late afternoon, early evening hours, but overall, things are looking good for the rest of our week. Might have a chance of showers though, late Thursday into Friday, but again, things are looking great. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, dry, mostly sunny, a little bit of cloud cover though. Again, late Thursday, we could see some showers late overnight and into the early morning hours Friday, but should be out of our hair before most of us are getting out and about for our Friday. But the weekend, looking great. Next week, we're going to see highs in the 70s. So things are warming up.
A little bit of spring fever here for us. Looking for that dry weekend as well. It feels like it's been rainy over and over and over again for us. But thanks for that update. Stick with us. We have more news and weather.
This is not you.